Hello guys, my name is Amit Sani and I welcome you in this daily Hindu analysis video. In the morning these videos come, in the evening the PIV videos come. Both are important, both are having important datas and MCQs that I'm giving to you. Follow them religiously, and many questions you would see in the prelims examination this year. And 12th of March, Tuesday, it is some important articles, some important data we are going to discuss here. And before that, these are the numbers there you can call, you can ask for these pen drive courses by StudyIQ. UPSC new course, updated course is also launched. And you see, for the motivation, consistency is the key. And as I told you yesterday, sacrifice is the basis. You have to make sacrifices every day, every hour, every minute. You don't care about yourself, you just take care of your health and just give your best. That is the key to success. And out of this stressful condition, you will work under it, and you will come out successful, and you will be free of this particular struggle within some months. So you have to keep patience and just follow the strict timetable. That should be the ultimate aim, because that is the toughest aim for you today. So let's go MCQs that I gave to you yesterday. United Nations Security Council 1267. It is regarding the sanctions regime. It was started after this war against terror in Afghanistan, and after this 9/11 attack, and it became so important that sanctions were brought up upon these terror groups and all. So when we are talking about Masood Azhar and declaring him as a global terrorist, then this becomes important, and many times we have seen this particular phrase in the newspaper. So that's important. C is the correct answer here. Next, between Ethiopia and Kenya, you can see it is the Lake Turkana here. Maximum part of it is there in Kenya, and some of the part is extending into Ethiopia. So it is there near the equator, and you see this is Lake Victoria, this is Lake Tanganyika, Lake Malawi. So all are important, and these are part of Great African Rift system. When this Horn of Africa is getting separated from this particular mainland, after thousands of years, this part would go to this particular side and it would remain to this side. So this is happening, and this is about these map questions. And you see, it is your responsibility to look for all these lakes and maps and important latitudes, the way it is there near the equator. So find out these locations and daily visit map for 15 to 20 minutes daily. Next, strategic petroleum reserves. As I told you in the question, there was some confusion because some data is given as different in some sources, and in some that is different. But presently these are the places where strategic reserves are there: in Visakhapatnam, in Mangalore, Karnataka, and in Padur, Karnataka. Padur is also a place in Kerala. It's a village, but this Padur is in Karnataka. So presently 3 important places there are reserves, and Chandikol in Odisha and second unit at Padur, Karnataka. These are actually approved, and in future we will see these reserves. In future some other proposals are also there: Rajasthan, Bikaner, and all other areas. Okay, so this question, presently India's strategic reserves, they are only there in Karnataka. Okay, because Odisha Chandikol is approved, but presently it is not there. So these are underground caves and mines or abandoned mines where these reserves would be created. Next, H1B Visa. It's perfectly correct. The statement 1 is correct, because it allows US companies to employ graduate level workers from abroad in specialty occupation. So it's a non-immigrant visa. Immigration certificate is not given here, and green cards and all, these are not given to these people. So non-immigrant visa. So this statement would be wrong here. Only one is the correct answer. These are the words. Try them into sentences. And now about the articles. We are not going to discuss this article. This is on some political lines and some religious issue, and not important for UPSC. But some issues, social issues remain here, that the mediator who are actually declared, and Sri Ravishankar, that religious leader, he is a controversial man. And you see, last year he said to these protesters and Muslim community leaders, he asked them to gift this land to Hindus, and it would be a gift to Indians. So that was a controversial remark again, because according to him, Hindus are the only people who are the original people of this land. That means people from other religions, they don't belong to India. The meaning is this. That means he is taking Hindus as India. So that is a wrong statement, and that's a controversial remark. And earlier also he has made these kind of remarks. So making him as a mediator, declaring him as a mediator in this particular matter, this can be a problematic issue, and still the time is there, and there must be some changes by the Supreme Court. So this is on religious and political lines, so we will not delve into this matter, not important for us. We are certainly going to discuss this issue related to aviation industry and whatever is happening, what are our achievements, what are our failures, and regarding that the air engines and all. So GS paper 2 and 3 would be important here. We are gonna discuss briefly about this issue of Fed rates and how they are going on the international trade, how it is affected, and again some speculations of global slowdown are scaring everyone. So we are going to discuss this issue, GS paper 2 and 3 importantly. Next, promise to live by. It's a general observation, general direction, or you may say a request to all these political parties that they should maintain this decorum of the election, because polarization tendencies are on rise in our community, and social media and all these provocative debates on prime time channels. So these things are actually dividing our nation, and we all must strive against these tendencies. India is a magical nation, and you see in the last page we would see that every state has population equal to some other country. So many countries, they live in one subcontinent of India. So we should maintain this particular magical land and this vibrant democracy. This is the most beautiful example in this world, and we have maintained our sanctity, we have maintained our unity till now. So it should not be disturbed just for some political gains. So that is a request to all these parties that maintain this decorum, respect each other, and anyhow, although these things are gonna go unheard by these political parties, and they are never gonna pay attention to these kind of things, because they are so much indulged in their dirty politics. So it's a very tough situation, but in the examination you may write all these points. So that's the thing, and we are not going to discuss this particular article. It's a simple sentimental issue here, and we are going to discuss this particular issue of aggressive diplomacy, important for GS paper 2 and 3 also, security issue also. And this particular Hawaii issue, you see, we have discussed this particular matter where chief financial officer was arrested, and USA raised many issues against the Huawei company. The founder of this Huawei company was a ex-military man of China's People Liberation Army, and many allegations are there on this company that they are actually stealing many sensitive data, trade related data of America. And now UK and Germany, these two countries are also raising some issues against their data leaks or some security threats. But they are saying that we are not going to manage this issue in the same way that US has managed this, because we don't want any kind of escalation. These two are staunch rivals. They are dealing this issue negatively, but we are not gonna go into that direction. But certainly some issues are there. So since 2011 this issue is going on, when first allegations came against Huawei company, and in 2014 they actually imposed some ban on mergers and all for Huawei in America. So these things are certainly there. So let's start with these articles, and first let them take flight. The most important article today, it is regarding the Tejas's air engine issue and Kaveri engine issue. Recently, the Aero India 2019 air show that was concluded, and many achievements were there, many important things were introduced there, and we saw our bolstered national security scenario there. But some moribund aeronautical industry, the struggling aeronautical industry, you see many things we have seen in the past. The way Rafale issue, where HAL was abandoned there, and many issues regarding the payments of HAL staff and all these things are going on, and HAL as a PSU is struggling a lot. But since 50s and 60s it has been involved in many important manufacturing, aircraft industry and all. It has helped a lot. But you see, some positive things we will talk here. Tejas Mark 1, it was given the final operational clearance, FOC, IOC and FOC. Two important things are there related with these aircrafts and their clearances. Initial operating clearance when these trials and all they are allowed, and final operating clearance in the end when these are to be inducted finally. So final operating clearance is given after 20 years. So that was very late, but somehow it was a good news. But you see, some negative information was also there, as a DRDO announcement at the show of its decision to shelve the Kaveri turbojet engine project that was going on for decades now, and without any major achievement they abruptly ended this particular mission. And that was extremely important for us, because we were talking about some important changes, upgradation into this, and we could not achieve much success in the past, but now we were about to change many issues here, but abruptly government ended this particular project. So there are some concerns. The writer says that political myopia is there. As you see, two cases, if we see at HF-24 Marut, which was a very important aircraft which we developed indigenously in 1950s and 60s, and at that time during the Nehru administration, when they promoted this particular project, and $55 million were given, and you see in 60s and 70s it was very much a talked about project from India, and we became a rival with countries like UK and other important nations, but we failed to achieve its huge potential. It was having huge potential, and supersonic fighter for want of a suitable engine. Because why we failed? We failed because engine was a major issue. Any big country, they have their own aero engines. Okay, any country we talk about it, whether we talk about Russia, America or France and all, they have their own aero engines, but we don't have that. And rather than exert itself to seek alternatives, government of the day with the stunning myopia closed the program. They did not see the future, because the real issue is, if you talk about our defense manufacturing, and if you talk about this aviation industry and its manufacturing, all the need is, that is to become self-dependent. But that is not happening. We are heavily dependent on imports here, and imports are a major problem, because many times political issues are there, and these red tape issues and clearances, many years, even decades are passing, and we are not able to procure these things, even when we are dependent on these imports heavily. So major problem can be solved if we become independent, but we are not focusing on this issue. We have actually sidelined our own industry and our own initiatives, our own organizations like HAL. You have seen, we are preferring Ambani's a company without any experience, 10-day-old company, and we are giving a particular project, a very important Rafale project to it, and we are sidelining HAL here. So these are a kind of a discouragement to these important organizations which has achieved in the past. And similarly, many of the problems that Tejas faced emanate from lack of engine thrust. Engine thrust was the problem, and that is why Kaveri engine, it was initiated as a project by DRDO, and in Bangalore they started this particular the name is GTRE, the Gas Turbine Research Establishment. It was tasked in 1986, and they wanted to develop an indigenous thrust giving engine. Okay, and it was first for the light combat aircraft, which is Tejas today, but it failed to give its delivery, and it became unsuccessful in trials. In 1996 it failed with the Russian jet. So some problems we saw in the past, and it could not give it delivery for the light combat aircraft. But now with some different alternative, the LCA has got its clearance, but Kaveri project, that is stuck, and now they have announced to end this particular mission. You see, this is Kaveri engine, and the particular type is GTX 35 VS Kaveri. Okay, it was designated for the light combat aircraft, but that is not been successful. And this is the HAF Marut, and it was having huge potential, but we could not take advantage of that potential because of the lack of availability of these engines and their thrusts. So indigenous development of these aero engines, it's a major issue, and it can only be solved when we are going to promote our industry, our important organizations, but we are not doing that. And very simply and smoothly, these foreign imports, they are replacing our own capabilities because of this political myopia, because we are not able to decide about this, and many corruption issues and many other things are there. So thus it is vital for India to develop a family of homegrown jet engines to power indigenous combat aircraft. That is ultimate need here, and this writing is by important chief of Indian Navy, so that is very, very crucial here. You see, as Kaveri missed successive deadlines, the US import option was mindlessly and gleefully resorted to. We resorted to these imports, and we appreciated these imports more than our own capability. That became a major issue, and here these are examples. And if we talk about Tejas, which was being developed by Aeronautical Development Agency and HAL, both. ADA was specifically designated for this. You see, till now, major deliveries are not possible because it has just got the final operating clearance. Until the time it is a condition where long production run of say 250 to 300 aircrafts, they are not delivered. Till that time we cannot say that we have a great design and production skills, and these are foolproof, and any major problem is not going to come in the future. We cannot say that. We are not confident about that because we have not given these kind of numbers of deliveries, and these are crucial here. And you see, the HL claims are also a problem because it claims more than the reality. It claims to have manufactured nearly 5,000 aero engines of British, French and Russian designs, but actually it is involved in assembly of these imported items mainly. So it is not actually a manufacturing, it is actually an assembly of the important components. That is why it's a sad commentary about HAL also, and we cannot say that HAL has been very brilliant here in making the aviation industry very robust. So these are some issues here, and we have talked about this GTRE, gas turbine research establishment, how it failed, and after that it is abruptly announced that we are going to end it. So for its neglect as well as absence of vision for the aeronautical industry, there are three more factors. Overestimation by the DRDO of its capabilities, compounded by a reluctance to seek advice. Means once these countries like UK, they offered to give some technology to India, and they said that we may upgrade all these equipments and all these particular engines of yours, and in future you will be able to develop your own capability. But due to some pricing issue, we could not move further. So it was some issue of the decision making also, and inadequate project management and decision making skills of its scientists also, exclusion of users. The military, as we can say, they are not allowed to make many more trials. So from all these aspects of these projects, these are major reasons, major factors of our failure, and it is still not too late for the government to declare both these projects as national missions. If we talk about this Kaveri issue, given the DRDO's penchant for secrecy and misplaced optimism, the true story of the Kaveri's halting progress has never been revealed to Parliament or the taxpayer. So secrecy is issue, means you maintain secrecy but you fail. So it's a really problematic thing. Whatever details which are available on the internet, where as I told you that the offers were there for these upgradations and some technology transfer, but these things were halted. And it is also interesting to note that in 2014, by this present government, this project of national importance, which this is so crucial, as the reason is there that we are discussing these two crucial projects, Kaveri and Tejas. These are of national importance. Arbitrarily, they were shut down by the DRDO, only to be revised subsequently for the reasons unknown. We can see here the kind of developments we see when we have sidelined HAL and we have given project to some novice company by some private player. So these kind of things we are experiencing in the present age, where the phase is going very sensitive and we need to focus on our capability, on our autonomy, but we are going on a different path. So maybe with this kind of intention, they have arbitrarily shut down the project, and they will revise it, or they will revive it later. And maybe when they will revive it later, then some other particular method would be adopted. Maybe some private player, they would step in. So these kind of things are a real problem. If we miss this opportunity, and if we do not declare them again the national missions, then we will remain abjectly import dependent forever in this vital area. Because after this particular phase, there is no guarantee that we would be able to invest this much, and this particular rhythm that is going on with HAL and all these achievements, we would be able to maintain that. We are doing great in the space industry. So in the same way, we should go here. We had developed the cryogenic engine for the GSLV, but here the thrust giving engines, these aero engines, they are a major problem. So this is all about it in this article. And next, if you talk about the Pakistan-India issue, you see here some particular revelations are there by writer. He says Pakistan and India are strange nations. Just as the conflict after India's bombing of the Balakot terror camp was winding down, Pakistan alleged on March 5, means it was after the 28th February strikes, means 1 week after that, March 5th in this month. It said that it had thwarted the entry of an Indian submarine into its waters, and India responded that Pakistan was indulging in the false propaganda. India denied everything about it. As Pakistan is denying here, India is denying everything about each other. So on the same evening, on March 5 only, the Pakistani Foreign Ministry issued a statement that its High Commissioner to India, Sohail Mahmood, would be returning to Delhi. When he was there in Pakistan after this incident, and he would be returning to Delhi, and talks with India on Kartarpur corridor would go ahead. Means these are positive steps. Provocating statements in the morning, and in the evening the positive talks, they are going on, and it was a signal that tensions were officially being diffused. India confirmed the talks on Kartarpur corridor and also sent back Indian High Commissioner Ajay Bisaria to Islamabad. That means whatever we see in the social media, that is totally a hypocrisy. The way they were escalating the matter, the way they were promoting the issue, and the way they were demanding votes on the name of our strikes and our so tall claims about our capabilities to attack and destroy Pakistan with a one blow and all these things. And you see the way we saw a peak of these emotions in the media, and how they were provoked everything about it, and how Indian people, they went blindfolded, and the extreme level of jingoism we saw. At the same time, nobody knew about these developments. Means nobody means in the public, people were hardly knowing this thing, that Indian High Commissioner Ajay Bisaria is back to Islamabad, and Kartarpur corridor talks are going on. But it was for some intention, because elections are due now, and they don't want to lose Punjab region's votes, because there is a particular aspiration regarding Kartarpur corridor in the Punjab region. So how they can compromise with that? Because whatever political advantage they had to take from this issue of strikes, they are taking it, and consistently they are making all these claims. And that is why Supreme Court had to intervene in this matter. And he said, Supreme Court said that you cannot use these posters of army men just to gain votes there. And you see, so shamefully these parties are behaving here, and you see the hypocrisy. And even this democracy, our people, our youth, the way they are behaving, it's really shameful. Whatever is reality, that is in front of us in this article, the way we are moving. Although we are not saying that this thing is wrong, but what is wrong? The wrong is that jingoism, and wrong is that how these media is misleading this nation. Means one side they are taking this matter to peaks, and at one side just opposite things are going on, and they were abusing those people who were proposing peace proposals, or who were saying that we should not move towards war, and those people were called anti-nationals. And here the government itself on March 5, it sent back its emissary to Islamabad, and Kartarpur corridor talks resumed. So you can see the reality here, and you see morning something happens and in the evening something happens. Both sides, the hypocrisy remains because of the political reasons, because internationally they both want to show that we are maintaining a great particular composure here, and we are restraining these negative escalations, and we both want peace. Although the hypocrisy is bigger from Pakistan's side, but you see, we cannot say it is hypocrisy from India's official side. But the way media was taking this matter, they were giving these numbers and all, and how they were provoking India's people, and the matter could go very wrong in the direction. If Pakistan would not have sent back our pilot, then in which way this nation would have gone at this particular time, nobody knows about this thing. But certainly they took this matter to heights, and now this particular move. And the writer says that reason is, it is an effort to win votes in Punjab, and it shows India as being reasonable before the international community. Here the writer says that Pakistan has always been hypocritical about it, because it is not doing anything regarding these Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba groups. Even some days back, it received a very important, infamous leader of this terror group on airport. These officials, they received him. That means it is not doing anything. And whatever claims we are making that we have isolated Pakistan totally, and Pakistan is totally under pressure, and these things are becoming hollow in a sense, because whatever pressure is there on Pakistan, that is from FATF body, because it is scared of these blacklisting. And you see, now Pakistan has demanded that India should be out of this vigilance team for this FATF matters. And if it happens, if we are out of that team, then certainly Pakistan would be same as before. Nothing would change, and it would not do anything regarding these terror groups, and all these things will go on like this. That means what we did after the Pulwama attack, what are our achievements? These things are really questionable here. And in these times, election times, these things should be discussed in a mature manner. We are not saying that whatever India is proposing here, whatever steps we are taking here, these are wrong, these are okay, these are right, and they should have been like this only, because war is never an option. But the way warmongering was there in the media, that was misleading. And in these times, and you see today the reports came that a lot of positive impact is there for the government, and in these times of election, they are gonna achieve too much about it. Means they have released reports regarding this achievement, that it is going to be very beneficial in the upcoming elections. That means it is shameful to talk about these things in this way, but these things are going on, and this is our democracy, the way we are moving in a particular direction. We are compromising everything here, and that is why we always say that maturity should be maintained. Here the writer is taking the example of Vajpayee years. There also we maintained a lot of restraint, and we behaved in a very responsible manner. Although Pakistan nowhere behaved in a responsible manner at this time when escalations were there after the nuclear trials. And at that time also, Foreign Secretary Shamshad Ahmed of Pakistan and Minister Raza Zafarul Haq, they made it clear that its nuclear weapons were not for show, the way they were claiming this time also. But at that time, it was too much of escalation, and Vajpayee ji was under too much of pressure. But he did not give in to pressure. And when this enormous pressure was there on him to use the Indian Air Force across the line of control, Even the public pressure was there, and Indian Air Force was also putting a lot of pressure, but he maintained these restrained activity, and these plans were not executed. The same thing was there, we saw after 2008 attacks and after 2001 parliament attacks also. So every time we maintained that, and our image internationally became very, very positive, that instead of that we are a nuclear power, we are restraining a lot, and we are following our no first use policy. Still we are following that, but the way this incident has gone by, and the way Pakistan has shown these evidences that our pilot was captured, and we actually went into the territory of Pakistan and all. So these claims, and when international media compare these things with the Indian media, then this was never a good image of India. And internationally, some things were questionable when open and out these claims of Balakot strike, they became as a controversy again. So here the writer says that maturity is always needed, and it is always shown by the major player and a more responsible nation like India. And here that is again true, that is again proved, and that is again clear that war is never an option, because both are nuclear powers. And we will see in a fact later that Pakistan is also importing world's 2.7% weapons. We are importing 9.5% of the world's total import, weapons import. Saudi Arabia is importing 12% of total. So Pakistan is nowhere behind. Means maybe the economic condition is very bad, but their military establishment, that is actual power there, that would never give up, and they would always try to maintain their egoistic image, and the image that they can save Pakistan from any kind of threat or something like that. And still they are 11th biggest importer of these weapons. So that is why these are the reasons that we cannot move towards war. And Pakistan was totally irresponsible during the Kargil escalation also, but we behaved in a restrained manner, and this nuclear option is unthinkable. So because for Pakistan the nuclear option is built into the trajectory of its survival as a state, so in the end there would be no option left for Pakistan, and that is why they won't hesitate to use its weapons, because they are a very irresponsible nation. But we have to maintain our responsibility, although we are not saying that we are not capable. Obviously we are better than Pakistan at any condition, but we are not that much scary a nation for Pakistan that they won't provoke anything. They will certainly provoke. So that is why the talks are the best option always. Always after this military escalation, after these wars and all, the end point is coming towards the talks on the table. So that should not halt in any way, and we should both move towards that. And as I told you in the last lesson also, that there is a certain difference between open daring by the nation. If Pakistan would have dared openly for war, then these particular sentiments on the media, these provoking and these public pressures would have been legitimate. But it is the terror attack, and it's a cowardice act sponsored by Pakistan. So that is why we have to retaliate in a same manner. Covert actions are the best option here, and aggressive diplomacy would be isolating Pakistan, and our economic weight we should put there. And these are the best options available for these kind of strikes, because we have lost 40 lives of our soldiers. They are martyred, but many more lives would be at stake if we go towards war, because we will not fight the war. You and me would not fight the war there on the borders. These soldiers, they would lose everything in the name of our security. And why? Because we escalated this matter to these heights, and we were involved in this warmongering on our keyboards. So that is why it's a very sensitive issue, and we need to calibrate our every move. Okay, and you see when Pakistan's hypocrisy is open and out, and it is not doing anything, and as I told you, FATF is the only body that is putting pressure on Pakistan, and it is not paying any heed to India's moves, India's pressure. Fazlur Rahman Khalil was that leader, Mujahideen leader, whom they received on airbase in Waziristan. So that means they are continuing their particular working, where they are sponsoring these terror groups and all. So there is no impact on Pakistan from our side. So here writer says government's inability to reach out to Kashmiris and its action against the Hurriyat leadership at a time when the separatists have lost control of the public mood underline an uncaring attitude. This has also created a fertile ground for Kashmiri youth to join terrorist ranks. That means things may go out of hand. And you see that 2010 to 2013, that was the most peaceful phase in Kashmir's history after 90s escalation. And that happened because UPA government at that time, they sent a particular mission there and they directly talked to these protesters. But these kind of moves were not taken this time, and militarily this matter was handled, and this has become so worst the condition is as we see today. So this is a kind of a policy failure, and the conventional response to terrorist groups can demonstrate intent but does very little to whittle down their abilities. That means war is not an option for these terror groups. War with Pakistan is not the solution. Covert capabilities are the real answer here. And Indian state responses cannot be reactive to the agenda of terrorist groups, whatever their actions are, because always we need to see we think about the future, that how many more lives can be at stake. We have lost 40, maybe we would lost 40,000 if this becomes a war. So that is nowhere a better deal for us, and what we are going to get out of it. And is there any kind of impact on these terror groups? Because the war would be against Pakistan, and these terror groups are sponsored by Pakistan. They are not actually the part of their military. So there are these suspicions that remain, and we need to calibrate our moves. We need to talk, and more talks should be there. That is the only viable option. And backstage negotiation, not negotiation, but these talks are actually very, very necessary. Now the next article, it is not important much, but you see it is talking about the higher interest rates with the Federal Reserve. And the chairman Jerome Powell, he said that we have been raising this, but now the economy is under some kind of strain. And Trump administration has also said regarding this issue that jobs are going on towards a decline, and GDP growth is also expected to go slow. So they need to put brakes on these Fed rate increase. And you see, always when they increase their rates, then the investment always fly towards America, because that is a bigger economy, more reliable economy, and all these investors from all over the world, they would always move towards these higher Fed rates and Federal Reserve. So economies like India, the developing economies, who are always expecting these foreign direct investments and all, they will be having the negative impact of this. But now under pressure as these countries are, America is also there, and all are speculating about a next global slowdown, and nobody wants that. But actually this will come according to some experts. And you see, other countries of European Union and Asian nations, they are also taking steps regarding these developments, and they are also looking at these Fed rates and how they are putting brakes on the normalization of the monetary policy, because whatever is going on, that is not the normal monetary policy, the changes which are there. And they have been looking at the stressful development in the economy, whether we talk about USA or whether we talk about China or whether we talk about India. But they are not able to adjust these policies according to the phase. So this is all happening because of the speculated global slowdown, and that is why economic condition in Europe and Asia began to deteriorate, and central banks have been quick to turn more dovish. They are not thinking about raising these rates, and actually in the case of RBI, in the case of People's Bank of China also, we have seen that they are lowering their interest rates so that economies can be stimulated. Less interest rates means more investment in these businesses, and demand and supply cycle that should be strengthened so that economy would go towards a positive cycle. Otherwise everybody would be trapped there, and this scare is really growing internationally, because in the 2008 crisis India was not a huge economy. India was huge, but not as huge as it is today. We are the sixth biggest nation here, and this time we won't be go unfazed by that. We will be certainly affected, and very negative consequence can be there. So we are also concerned about this situation, and all countries, they need to make coordinated efforts to avoid a global growth slowdown. Okay, we are struggling for many years, nearly a decade now, and things are not improving, and internationally it's a problem for almost all the nations. European Union nations, and they are struggling at their worst, and many countries are devastated. We have seen that, and the speculation into these oil prices and all, and the changes which are going on in these Middle East countries and all. So these things are not going according to somebody's expectation, and they are scaring more and more. So that is the thing, and these all countries, they need to make collaborative and coordinated efforts. That is the message here. Next, Supreme Court may send plea challenging quota bill to constitutional bench. As we were discussing last month, that this 103rd constitutional amendment, where 10% quota is there on the economic basis, that will not sustain, and it may be nullified in the larger bench as a constitutional bench it would be. So Indira Sahni case is important here, where 50% cap was there on the reservation issue, and now when government only, they have released this non-notification, and 10% quota is extended in almost all these states. So whether it is going to stay or not, that is under suspicion, because according to the case, when they declared it as a basic feature of the constitution, they said that it is going to be an integral part, because you cannot move further in this case, and 50% cap should be maintained. More than 50% means this is going to be an unequal condition, unjustified condition. But now the steps are taken, and now all these states, they will also go in this direction. All these pressure groups and all, they will be again activated, and in this election time again there will be many protests. So this issue is really sensitive, and we need to see what the constitutional bench is going to decide. But this is almost certain that it will be going towards a null and void situation. Okay, India is world's second largest arm importer. As I told you, Saudi Arabia is the biggest one, India 9.5%, Pakistan on 11th number with 2.7%, and you see we are dependent heavily here, but there is actually 24% decrease between 2013 9 to 13 phase and 14 to 18 phase. There has been 24% decrease because of some policy decisions, some delayed procurement and all. So although there is decrease, but still we are the second largest importer. Okay, China has blocked again our move regarding declaring Masood Azhar as the global terrorist. This move was supported for India by UK, USA and France, but China again blocked it because it is the veto power which is there with these P5 nations, and China is one of them, and it has blocked it again, as speculations were there that China is not going to block it this time, but again China said that we are putting it on a technical hold and we are not declaring him as the global terrorist. Next, uncertain government policies. Clouded developer sentiment hits solar capacity addition. You see, we have a target of 175 gigawatt renewable energy as a target, and out of 175, 100 gigawatt would be coming from the solar sector, and 60 gigawatt would be coming from the wind sector. And in the last lecture we saw there were problems regarding the wind sector, and we are not going to achieve the 60 gigawatt target by 2022. Some policy troubles are there and some pricing issues are there, so we need some reforms, and the same situation is now erupting with the solar sector also. The report says that we are only going to achieve around 60% of our targets, and that's a really shocking situation, because this is the area where we were claiming very high, and we were saying that at any cost we are going to achieve this target of 100 gigawatt by 2022. But now near elections, these revelations are there that only 60% means 60 gigawatt we are going to achieve by 2022, and 70 gigawatt by 2023. The GST implementation became a problem till 1.5 years after the GST implementation. We don't have much clarity. Ministry of Renewable Energy, it said that 5% would be the cap here, but now they have added some things here that EPC measures, engineering, procurement and construction measures, there they may evaluate these cases separately, case by case they will apply these duties. So this may raise the per unit cost to 2.7 to 2.9, which came down up to 2.4 rupees per unit. So this can be an issue, and here also we may not achieve these targets. So this can be a problem, because this was the brightest area where we were achieving things very fast, but now the reality is different. You see, this is the situation of Indian states, where every state is equal to the population of some other country, and it is about the voters population. UP is equal to Brazil, Rajasthan with France, MP with Egypt. So big the population of voters is, and this is the time when there are going to be around 90 crore voters. So very huge number, 89.78 crore people are registered to vote in the upcoming election. So we need to see, and it's really a very interesting thing. And you see, it's a magical thing that in one subcontinent so many countries are living, we may say this, and still we are going on as a unity, and we should maintain this impossible thing that we are a vibrant democracy and we are maintaining our diversity. We are not that much negative about this diversity, but you see, because of political gains, the media and the politicians, they are certainly hampering our democracy, our democratic values, and they are converting these diversities into differences, and that should not happen. At any cost, we need to maintain that, and all parties are requested here. And the data shows our capability as a great nation. Nari Shakti Award, they were given on International Women's Day, and you see, Nari Shakti Award is the highest civilian award for women in India. Remember this, okay? And here the picture of the founding director of Keystone Foundation, which is working in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve area of Western Ghat. The name is Snehalata Nath, so it may be asked in some question. And one more data you should remember, 44 women in total, they have been given this award this time on International Women's Day by President of India. Highest civilian award for women. Next, these are the MCQs. Try their answers and just look for the additional details. From these additional details of these questions, many questions you will see in the prelims this year. So thanks a lot. PDF you will get on my Telegram channel. The link is there on my Facebook group. And map question I'm also giving here. Find out the location of these countries and arrange them according to north to south direction on the map. Okay. PDF you will get here in this group on Telegram channel also. Thanks a lot. Keep watching. It was Amit Sen.